In the quiet stretches of Colombia, a strange occurrence has unfolded. A video capturing a mysterious sphere soaring through the sky.
It spins like a top, and she reaches where Maria is and tries to fall to the ground, as if to say, I'm going to fall because I can't levitate anymore. She rises very high and goes to where Jose is.
I mean, at a certain moment, both were simultaneously recording the sphere, one from one angle and the other from another angle.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. At the same time, on the same day, March 2nd, at 1:45 in the afternoon, Mrs. Maria, who said, I don't dare to say her last name because we can't do it since we don't have her authorization. But Maria lives in the houses that are in the last blocks of the neighborhood. And those houses are next to something called the pasture. So she goes out from her house to the pasture. You can hear the children from the house. You can hear, because in that field is where they already throw potato peels, leftovers of food scraps that they leave. They throw them in the field for the cows to eat them. Then, at this moment, she starts to see a strange event in front of her, who is levitating the sphere. She is shocked to see this sphere and sees that the sphere is strange. When the sphere moves toward the mountain, it begins to illuminate with colors. Light up in colors, she says herself. I say myself in the audio. This sphere is lighting up. She says, look how it lights up. And it picks up all the speed and says, it's going where Jose is. It returns to where Jose is and comes back to her again. I mean, if you could see the path of the sphere, it's the same day at the same time. With two cell phones recording at the same time, sir. It's the exact same event, completely the same event. But it was already malfunctioning when Maria saw it from outside.
A sighting unlike any other, one that mirrors something seen for centuries in ancient art, particularly in religious iconography. But could this sphere, spotted in daylight, be a direct link to something much older? Tonight we explore the footage and compare it with ancient depictions of spherical orb-like flying craft, adding another layer of complexity to the question, what are we truly witnessing in the skies? This footage was captured in Colombia. What you're seeing is a perfect sphere, unmistakable in its design, floating effortlessly across the sky. There is no visible propulsion, no wings, no typical sign of any aircraft we're familiar with. It drifts, almost lazily, before eventually landing near an individual on the ground, leaving behind no trace of its arrival. Now this sighting, while fascinating in its own right, takes us back to an ancient symbol we've seen time and again, the sphere. But these aren't just any spheres. These are spheres found in some of the most revered places on Earth, from churches in Italy to medieval works of art. Notice the flawless geometry of this object. In our modern world of advanced engineering, achieving such perfect spherical design that maintains structural integrity while in flight would be challenging, to say the least. Yet here it is, defying our understanding of aerodynamics, moving with precision that suggests either remarkable technology or phenomena beyond our current scientific understanding. The way it moves is equally perplexing. There's no turbulence, no exhaust, no visible means of propulsion whatsoever. It's as if it's gliding through a different medium altogether, unbothered by the constraints of gravity or air resistance. This behavior has been reported consistently across centuries and continents, yet remains unexplained by conventional science. Spheres have appeared in religious art for centuries. In Italy, for example, countless paintings depict Christ surrounded by glowing orbs or spheres. In some interpretations, these orbs are thought to represent divine illumination, an ethereal presence of God, seen as the perfect symbol of enlightenment and purity.
The sphere shows symbols that the scientists related to ancient scripts, such as Mesopotamian writing systems, Agam, and runes. With AI helping them translate the pattern, the researchers deduced that the message read, "The origin of birth through union and energy in the cycle of transformation, meeting point of oneness, expansion, and consciousness, individual consciousness." Given the present problems with pollution and environmental degradation, the researchers added, "We interpret it as a message to humanity, encouraging a collective shift in consciousness to help Mother Earth."
Even more intriguing, the Middle Ages were rife with depictions of spheres in the sky, often in the hands of angels hovering above significant events. Could these ancient representations have been symbolic of something far more real, perhaps an interaction with beings from another world? Take, for example, this 15th century painting by Carlo Crivelli, The Annunciation with Saint Emilius. If you look closely at the sky, there's a distinct circular object emitting what appears to be a beam of light toward Mary. Traditional interpretations suggest this represents the Holy Spirit, but the physical depiction is remarkably similar to modern UFO sightings. In the monastery of Visoki Dekani in Kosovo, a 14th century fresco depicts what appears to be men in capsules or vehicles flying through the sky. The artists of these eras were meticulous about their symbolism. Every element had purpose and meaning. Why then include these strangely mechanical-looking objects in scenes of divine importance? But this phenomenon isn't limited to the Christian world. Ancient cave paintings from Australia, dating back over 5,000 years, show similar circular objects hovering above human figures. In North American petroglyphs, native tribes depicted what they called star beings emerging from circular craft. The Dogon tribe of Mali has traditions speaking of amphibious beings arriving in spinning vessels from the stars. Perhaps most compelling are the ancient Sumerian tablets, some of the earliest written records of human civilization. They describe the Anunnaki, beings who descended from the sky in circular vessels. These accounts predate biblical texts by thousands of years, yet share striking similarities in their descriptions of celestial visitors.
Throughout history, the sphere has been a recurring symbol. It's often linked to divine presence, light, and the heavens. What's fascinating is that when we look at modern-day sightings, like the one in Colombia, there's a striking similarity. The spherical shape, the way it moves without any visible means of propulsion. It's almost as though these ancient symbols are reappearing in the skies in the form of these very objects.
The Nuremberg Chronicles of 1493 describe a phenomenon where numerous spheres, cylinders, and other objects engaged in what the witnesses described as aerial combat. The detailed accounts match modern sightings with remarkable consistency. The silent movement, the metallic appearance, the sudden acceleration and stops. These weren't described as visions or metaphors, but as physical events witnessed by entire communities. What's particularly interesting is how these spherical objects appear across cultures that had no contact with each other. We find them in South American Nazca geoglyphs, Egyptian hieroglyphs, Chinese chronicles during the reign of Emperor Jia Jing, and Aboriginal Dreamtime stories. The consistency in their description defies coincidence. This particular image from southeastern Utah dates back to approximately 1000 CE. The precision of the circle and the strange beings inside suggest the artist was attempting to document something they actually witnessed, not simply creating a symbolic representation.
What makes these connections so remarkable is the continuity of the symbolism. For centuries, spheres have represented something higher, something celestial, and now we're seeing them in real time, captured on video. Could these objects be a manifestation of something we've seen in our religious and spiritual past? The similarities are hard to dismiss. The perfect circular shape, the luminous quality, the ability to hover motionless before moving at incredible speeds. These characteristics appear in both ancient accounts and contemporary sightings. Europe's historical record is particularly rich with accounts of spherical objects in the sky.
In 1561, the citizens of Nuremberg, Germany, witnessed what they described as a celestial phenomenon, where numerous red, blue, and black spheres appeared to engage in an aerial battle. The event was so significant it was documented in broadsheets and discussed throughout the region.
The Nuremberg Gazette published this woodcut illustration of the event. Look closely, and you'll see distinct spherical objects, some appearing to emit smoke or vapor. Hans Glaser, the artist, was known for his accurate depictions of current events, not for flights of fancy.
Just 5 years later, in 1566, a similar event occurred over Basel, Switzerland. Again, multiple spherical objects were reported, this time appearing to engage in what witnesses described as a fight in the sky. These weren't isolated incidents. They were mass sightings, reported by hundreds of reliable witnesses.
Could this be a craft of unknown origin or something even more mysterious?
This is a common trait among many UFO sightings. They often exhibit no sound, no engines, no machinery. It raises the question, is this technology far beyond what we can even comprehend? Or is it something that exists outside of our understanding of physics?
Notice how the vegetation beneath the object doesn't appear disturbed. No wind, no downward thrust as we would expect from conventional aircraft. This defies our understanding of how objects of significant mass can remain airborne.
What we're witnessing here cannot be explained by conventional aerodynamics or propulsion systems. For an object of that apparent mass to hover silently, without disturbing its surroundings, suggests either an extraordinarily advanced technology or natural phenomena we haven't yet categorized in our scientific understanding. If we were to create a sphere like this with our current technology, it would require massive energy outputs, generate significant heat, and create considerable air displacement. Yet this object exhibits none of these effects. It's as if it's manipulating gravitational fields or operating in a manner completely outside our current scientific paradigm.
The witness's behavior is equally fascinating. There's caution, yes, but not the level of terror we might expect when confronted with something so utterly alien to our daily experience. It's almost as if there's a calming effect, a sensation reported by countless witnesses throughout history during close encounters. Close encounters with spherical objects aren't limited to modern times. In 1790, the philosopher and poet Goethe described a curious incident during his travels in Italy. He and Duke Karl August witnessed what they described as a luminous sphere that approached them on a clear night, hovered briefly, then ascended rapidly into the sky. In 1803, the villagers of Dronten, Holland, reported a strange hovering object that resembled a burning barrel of tar. Several farmers approached it cautiously, describing later how it emitted no heat despite its appearance of being a flame. The object reportedly ascended rapidly when they got too close. Even Thomas Jefferson, one of America's founding fathers and a renowned scientist of his time, recorded a strange sighting in 1800. In his correspondence, he describes a bright ball of light that moved across the evening sky before disappearing. Jefferson, known for his skepticism and rationality, had no explanation for what he witnessed. One of the most well-documented historical cases comes from Japan in 1803. Fishermen near Edo, modern-day Tokyo, encountered what they described as a hollow ship that washed ashore. According to the account, it contained strange inscriptions and a young woman speaking an unknown language. The object was reportedly spherical with a dome on top, a shape that matches many modern UFO descriptions. The Colombian incident we're examining today follows this same pattern: a silent approach, no visible means of propulsion, and a seemingly intelligent behavior. The witness, like so many before throughout history, appears more mesmerized than terrified.
What we're seeing here is not typical. It's not a drone. It's not a weather balloon. This thing is completely silent, and its movements are too precise. It's almost like it's aware of the person it's approaching. It's like it's studying the person, observing.
What strikes me is the shape, the sphere. It's been a symbol in ancient art for centuries, especially in religious art. The fact that this sphere is so reminiscent of those ancient depictions, it's too coincidental. Could this be some sort of link between ancient encounters and what we're seeing now?
When we look at human encounters with the unknown across cultures and throughout history, we see remarkable similarities in how these experiences are described. The luminous sphere is perhaps the most consistent element, from the divine light of religious traditions to the flying saucers of the 20th century and the orbs we're seeing today. What's particularly interesting is how these spherical phenomena adapt to cultural expectations. In medieval Europe, they were interpreted as divine or demonic signs. During the Industrial Revolution, they were often described in mechanical terms, airships or flying machines. In our digital age, they're increasingly discussed as possibly interdimensional rather than extraterrestrial.
The sphere is, mathematically speaking, the most efficient shape for containing energy or for traveling through multiple mediums. If we were dealing with entities that could traverse space, dimensions, or even time itself, a spherical form would make perfect sense from both a physics and engineering perspective. Imagine our three-dimensional reality intersecting with a higher dimensional space. The mathematical model suggests such an intersection would appear to us as a sphere. What we might be witnessing is not a craft in the conventional sense, but a manifestation of something moving between dimensional states.
These theories, while speculative, highlight the truly mysterious nature of what we're observing. Whether technological, natural phenomenon, or something beyond our current scientific framework, these spheres represent one of the most persistent mysteries in human experience. Our next video takes us to Lincoln, Nebraska, where a mysterious light has been captured in the night sky.
That's a thing. That's an orb. Oh my god. Yeah, I see it flashing. This is what me and Sully saw. Holy shit. Dude, I told you, this is what I saw last night in my backyard. Look at this. Look. On my camera. Holy shit. Just give me 2 seconds. Alright, so this fucking thing is just in the middle of the woods. And it's so bright. Oh my god, it looks like look at the fucking plasma. Did you see that red orb that just went by it? I just caught it on camera.
Whatever this is, it's demonstrating what appears to be intelligent control.
Notice how it seems to linger over certain areas, almost as if conducting a survey or search. This behavior has been reported in countless sightings worldwide, a methodical examination of specific locations. What could it be looking for? When we map recent sightings of spherical objects worldwide, some interesting patterns emerge. There are distinct clusters around nuclear facilities, major fault lines, and ancient archaeological sites. This suggests either a strategic interest in these locations or perhaps some natural property that facilitates their appearance. South America has become a particularly active region for these sightings in recent years. From the mountains of Chile to the rainforests of Brazil, reports of luminous spheres have increased dramatically since 2010. Local witnesses often describe these objects emerging from or disappearing into bodies of water, behavior consistent with the US Navy's acknowledged UAP encounters. This 2018 footage from Japan shows a similar object hovering near the Fukushima region. Witnesses reported it remained stationary for nearly 40 minutes before ascending vertically at extraordinary speed. Japanese authorities investigated but found no explanation for the phenomenon. Recent theoretical physics suggests our universe may contain up to 11 dimensions, most of which remain imperceptible to us. The interdimensional hypothesis proposes that what we're witnessing are not craft from distant galaxies, but entities that exist in dimensions adjacent to our own, occasionally crossing the threshold into our reality.
Einstein's theories and subsequent quantum discoveries have shown us that what we perceive as physical reality is far more fluid and interconnected than we once believed. The notion of separate dimensions existing alongside our own is mathematically sound. What we might be witnessing with these spherical objects is a kind of bleed-through between dimensional boundaries. Imagine our dimension as one transparent sheet and another dimension as a second sheet. Where they intersect, entities from either side might become partially visible to the other. The perfect sphere is mathematically the most efficient shape for such a transgression. The minimal surface area for maximum volume.
Interestingly, many indigenous traditions speak of entities that exist in parallel worlds or dimensions. The Aboriginal concept of the dream time, the Hopi belief in the fourth world, the Celtic otherworld, all describe realms that exist alongside our own, occasionally accessible through specific locations or states of consciousness.
What's remarkable is how many traditional cultures describe techniques for communicating with these other realms. From shamanic rituals to specific sacred sites, there's a consistent belief that these parallel worlds are accessible under certain conditions. When we look at modern sphere sightings, they often correlate with locations traditionally considered portals or gateways in indigenous traditions. The spherical manifestations reported today share striking similarities with what ancestral traditions describe as spirit beings or interdimensional entities. In the Amazon, they're called spirits of the forest. The Sami people of northern Scandinavia speak of light beings that travel between worlds. These aren't just myths, they're consistent experiences reported across human history.
This interdimensional hypothesis might explain the seemingly impossible physics these objects display. The instant acceleration, the lack of inertial effects, the ability to pass through solid matter as reported in some cases. They may not be bound by the same physical laws that constrain matter in our dimension. Some researchers now believe what we're witnessing is not technology as we understand it, but conscious entities that manifest physically under certain conditions. Indigenous wisdom has maintained this perspective for millennia, while modern science is only beginning to catch up to these possibilities. As technology advances, so does our ability to analyze these phenomena. Modern video analysis can detect forgeries, identify known objects, and measure movements with unprecedented precision. Yet many recordings, including our Colombian footage, continue to defy conventional explanation.
We've subjected this footage to every authentication test available. There's no evidence of digital manipulation, no signs of computer-generated imagery. The object's lighting, shadows, and interaction with the environment are consistent with a physical object present during filming. We can rule out common explanations. The perfect spherical shape eliminates conventional drones. The controlled movement rules out balloons. The lack of visible propulsion system rules out experimental aircraft. Whatever this is, it's outside our current technological understanding.
The scientific community is finally taking these phenomena seriously. Major universities are establishing research departments dedicated to analyzing unexplained aerial phenomena. What was once relegated to fringe science is now receiving legitimate academic attention. We're deploying sophisticated instrumentation at locations with frequent sightings. Multispectral cameras, gravitational sensors, electromagnetic field detectors. We're gathering data across the spectrum to better understand what we're dealing with.
As we move forward, the question isn't just what these spheres are, but what they mean for our understanding of reality itself. If these are indeed interdimensional entities, as many now believe, they challenge our most fundamental assumptions about the nature of consciousness and physical reality.
What's particularly interesting is the reported effect these objects have on human consciousness during close encounters. Witnesses consistently report altered states of awareness, telepathic communication, and a sense of profound connection. This suggests these phenomena may operate at the intersection of physics and consciousness, a frontier science is only beginning to explore.
Recent years have seen unprecedented official acknowledgement of these phenomena. Military pilots have come forward with detailed accounts. Government agencies have released footage. What was once denied is now being studied in earnest. Tonight we've explored just a fraction of the evidence suggesting these spherical objects have been with us throughout human history. From ancient cave paintings to yesterday's smartphone videos, the record is consistent and compelling. This has been Mr. Cornwall thanking you for liking, sharing and subscribing. Make sure to tune in next time for more shocking and amazing stories from this world and the next.